and welcome to the news on NTA International. I'm Sarah Sander and my sign language interpreter is Shegun Ajayi. First, the headlines. NLC TUC industrial action holds nationwide. Federal government appeals to the two trade centers to come back to the negotiation table. And first female Mexican president emerges. The nationwide strike called by organized labor over delay in a new minimum wage commenced today, with activities grinding to a halt in the nation's capital, Abuja. Kelvin Ebonaye reports.
From the Federal Secretariat to the office of the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, offices were locked. The usual high activities associated with the Central Business District, where many commercial banks are located, were absent, as the few workers who turned up for work were turned back by a team of the NYSC Compliance Committee.
You can move from gate 1 down to gate 8. All the gates are shut. So there's no entrance and nobody is allowed to enter inside to work. Maybe for those who sneaked in, maybe around 5, 6 o'clock, we have entered there and we have sent everybody out. So presently, the compliance is 100%.
For the workers and other categories of Nigerians, the strike, which has also affected electricity supply and businesses, is one the country cannot afford to allow to linger.
The labor and the government should dialogue. They should see between each others and see what can become the solutions to this strike. Because if this thing continue, it may cause a lot of problem on the ground.
At the moment, Nigerians can only hope that the engagement between the leadership of the National Assembly and that of the organized labor yesterday leads to amicable resolution of the matter in a manner that will convince the Nigerian Labour Congress to suspend the strike, which has hampered social and economic activities across the country. In Abuja, Kelvin Ebonaye, NTA News.
Meanwhile, senior secondary school students sitting for their WAEC examinations in the FCT were not affected by the ongoing strike called by NLC, as schools remained open for both the senior secondary school students, internal invigilators, external invigilators, and supervisors who are participating in the examination exercise. NTA News observes that even though there is substantial compliance with the strike, Labour has kept its promise to exclude schools and students sitting for this year's WAEC examination from the ongoing industrial action. Hadiza Godwin Ebune reports.
Out here is a strange Monday, a day crippled by industrial action, yet the schools are open for the day's business, even though it is not business as usual. Senior secondary schools are among the privileged few institutions that are exempted from the ongoing strike due to the ongoing senior secondary certificate examination in the West African countries. I'm here today and I'm writing my exam and I'm not aware of the strike ongoing, and it's not affecting my senior WAEC. It's not affecting my senior WAEC exam going on. External invigilators are here to supervise, and my internal invigilators are here to supervise us on our exam.
The strike has not started the examinations, just like every other examination. It's just like every other examination, it has not actually started any.
And for everyone involved, teachers, parents and students, their exclusion from the strike is a sign of relief.
So despite the ongoing strike, our examinations are still taking place. It's not affecting us in any way.
Despite the strike, we are still commencing on the, I guess we are still writing the examination.
Meanwhile, both primary, junior secondary school students have been sent home and the schools are under lock. Hadiza Godwin Ebune, NTA News.
Over 12,000 pilgrims are expected to be airlifted before the close of June 10 target by the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria. NTA News gathered from the Hajj House in Abuja that about 51,000 pilgrims from Nigeria, as well as those going with private tour operators, numbering about 13,000, are expected to perform this year's Hajj. Although the strike declared by organized labor has almost halted operations, there are expectations that respite would be given to the pilgrims so as not to miss the June 15 deadline declared by the government of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to close their borders. The Hajj Commission says adequate preparation has been put in place to ensure Nigerian pilgrims performed a hitch-free Hajj. At the moment, 12,750 pilgrims are still waiting to be airlifted, and the Commission is hopeful of airlifting the remaining pilgrims before June 10 target it's set to complete its airlifting operations in Nigeria. In Kano, the nationwide strike action embarked upon by the labor unions has stalled the hearing in respect of the case filed against the decision of the Kano State House of Assembly and the state government to return Kano to a single emirate and the consequent removal of all the emirs. Aminu Umar, who visited the Federal High Court, reports.
After the dissolution of the 5 emirate councils in Kano State, some people rushed to the Federal High Court to challenge the decision of the state government and state assembly, by which the court issued an interim injunction asking the two parties to return to the status quo. However, because of the strike action embarked upon by the NLC and TUC, the case will not come up for hearing.
All we know, we have been instructed to join the strike. So we have to comply with our national body. That is why. And in any court, there is no case that one is different with that one. Everybody has his own problem. That is why he brings his problem to the court in order to solve it. And we know, so far we have started the strike today. The only thing we say, the people should be patient until they call off the strike.
So long as another avenue is not devised, the emirateship tussle continues until the Labour Congress decided to call off their strike. In Kano, Amin Umar, NTA News.
The Transmission Company of Nigeria says the labor union has shut down the national grid, resulting in blackout as nationwide strike begins. TCN, in a statement, states that the national grid shutdown occurred at about 2:19 a.m. Monday morning, 3rd June 2024. The shutdown started from Benin transmission operator to other substations in Benin, Ayede, Olorunshogo, Akangba and Oshogbo. TCN also says power generating units from different generating stations were forced to shut down some units of their generating plants at about 3:23 a.m. Monday morning. However, TCN says it has commenced grid recovery using the Shiroro substation to attempt to feed the transmission lines supplying bulk electricity to the Katangpe transmission substation. TCN assures that it will sustain efforts in recovering and stabilizing the grid to ensure restoration of normal bulk transmission of electricity to distribution load centers nationwide. In the meantime, the federal government has again appealed to organized labor to come back to the negotiating table in the interest of peace and socio-economic development of the country. At a media briefing alongside the Minister of State, Labor, Nkiruka Onyejocha, and the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, insists that Labour needs to consider the consequences of a nationwide strike and come back to the negotiating table. Federal government, he added, is not an opponent to the ongoing negotiations, but opposed to Labour's demand of 494,000 naira minimum wage that will cost the federal government 9.5 trillion naira annually for about 1.2 million federal government employees only.
This is a heartfelt and deeply considered appeal to the labor unions to continue along the path of negotiations with the federal state governments, and the organized private sector under the auspices of the tripartite committee that has been established by government to fashion out a new, realistic minimum wage for the people of Nigeria. As government, we are desirous of a very peaceful outcome, and we will do everything to make this happen. As we have explained earlier, Labour's current proposal of 494,000 naira is an increase of 1,547% on the existing wage and translates into an annual wage bill of 9.5 trillion naira for the federal government of Nigeria alone. This, of course, does not include the subnationals and the organized private sector. We want the labor unions to understand that the relief that Nigerians are expecting and that they fully deserve will not only come in the form of increased wages, it will also come as efforts to reduce the cost of living and to ensure that more money stays in the pockets of Nigerians. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is firmly committed in doing what is right, reasonable, and sustainable regarding these minimum wage negotiations.
The labor union will organize the private sector and of course government side to come to conclusion, because we can't allow our nation to get into crisis as we speak. What has happened today has brought a lot of hardship in Nigerians.
The government spokesperson also wants all stakeholders to appeal to the organized labor to embrace ongoing negotiations as the best option to a sustainable industrial peace and guarantee a speedy economic recovery process being embarked upon by the government. In other news, the rehabilitation and expansion of roads in the FCT is to make commuting easier, open up businesses and ensure safety of lives. President Bola Tinubu, represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, reaffirmed that the Renewed Hope agenda is committed to prioritizing the lives of Nigerians. Aisha Ubali reports that this was at the inauguration of the Outer Southern Expressway to Ring Road 1, Abuja.
This is the fourth in the roll of projects being commissioned by Mr. President. And today we are here at the Outer Southern Expressway, which is known as OSES. Here, this road is very, very crucial to Abuja road network as it links up to the Inner Southern Expressway, known as ISES, through the Southern Parkway. But something very important about this road is that it has 4 overpasses and 3 pedestrian bridges.
The project is about 6.28 kilometers, linking 5 roads, all named after past presidents of Nigeria. And the overview by the Executive Secretary FCDA Hadi Ahmed, the rehabilitation and expansion is not only giving FCT a facelift, but most importantly, fulfilling the infrastructural mandate of the present administration. As the Minister of State FCT, Dr. Maria Mahmoud, says this has facilitated economic growth.
And hard work have made this project a resounding success, benefiting everyone who calls our city home.
FCT Minister Nyesom Wike says since 2013 the project was awarded, it has lingered till the coming of the President Tinubu administration, who gave a mandate that all projects must be completed.
For those who think that it is a bare talk, if you come to Abuja, you will know that the Renewed Hope agenda is really true, and that is what we are enjoying today.
The president, represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, says the administration will continue to provide an enabling environment to stimulate businesses at both private and public sectors. And this can only happen through provision of good road networks.
Under Wike's leadership, we have witnessed remarkable strides in infrastructure development, urban planning, and sustainable growth in the nation's capital. Under Wike, we have proved to the world that what counts is leadership, and what this nation needs is quality leadership.
Before December, the FCTA promises to commission more projects within the area councils. In Abuja, Aisha Ubali, NTA News.
And the Central Bank of Nigeria has revoked the license of Heritage Bank PLC with immediate effect. The Acting Director, Corporate Communications Department of CBN, Hakama Sidi Ali, disclosed this in a statement in Abuja. Sidi Ali said the action was in accordance with the Apex Bank's mandate to promote a sound financial system in Nigeria and in exercise of its powers under Section 12 of the Banks and Other Financial Acts. The board and management of the bank have not been able to improve the bank's financial performance, a situation which constitutes a threat to financial stability. The statement maintained that the CBN took the action to strengthen public confidence in the banking system and ensure that the soundness of the financial system is not impaired. The Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, is hereby appointed as the liquidator of the bank in accordance with Section 12(2) of BOFIA 2020. This is the news on NTA International. Thanks for staying with us. Egyptian President Al-Sisi reappoints Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouly on Monday to form a new cabinet after the latter submitted his cabinet's resignation following Sisi's re-election for a third term last year. Kolo Mohammed tells us more.
President Sisi directed the new cabinet to focus on lowering inflation and regulating market as well as attracting and increasing local and foreign investment. Targets for the new cabinet members will also include preserving the country's national security in light of regional and international challenges plus counter-terrorism. There was no immediate indication of which ministers will be replaced in the long-awaited reshuffle or when the new cabinet will be announced. In his statement, while reappointing the Prime Minister on Monday, Sisi said, and I quote, "Today, I assign Dr. Mustafa Madbouly to form a new government that consists of the necessary expertise and competencies to manage the next phase in order to achieve the desired development in government performance and confront the challenges facing the state." Sisi was sworn in for his third term in April after sweeping to victory with 89.6% of the votes in an election with no serious challenges last December. Kolo Muhammad, NTA News.
South Africa's final election results have been released. The ruling African National Congress has lost parliamentary majority and will need coalition partners to surpass 50% votes and form a government. Kolo Mohammed again tells us more.
After all the ballots have been counted in South Africa, the ruling African National Congress ANC received 40.18% votes, well short of majority. For the first time since the end of apartheid in 1994, the once dominant party will need to make a deal with other political parties to form a coalition government. Democratic Alliance AD, the main opposition party, received the second highest number of votes, 21.81%, followed by the MK party with 14.58% and EFF got 9.52%.
As the leaders of political parties, as all those who occupied or occupy positions of responsibility in society, we have heard the voices of our people and we must respect their choices and their wishes.
It's a lesson for ANC that they got 40%, that they must speed up their system and do service delivery to the people because the people are hungry, people are struggling. So EFF, of course, struggled here and there, but the MK brought in some vibe and the power of Jacob Zuma, the influence. That's what the people need.
On this vote, it's my first time not to vote for ANC. I've been voting for ANC since 2002. I think so, yeah. Since 2002.
If you're not happy with the result, challenge the result in the lawful means that it is, and the procedures are there for political parties and candidates to challenge and want to raise objections.
Analysts say the course is bleak, replete with uncertainties, as the former President Jacob Zuma is alleged to be working to ensure coalition talks fail, which they say may create a huge vacuum likely to warrant interim leadership before election is rerun. Kolo Muhammad, NTA News.
And in Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum has won the country's presidential election to become the first female president in the country's 200-year history.
Electoral Institute's president said Sheinbaum had between 58.3% and 60.7% of the vote, while opposition candidate Galvez had between 26.6% and 28.6%. And Judge Alvarez Menes had between 9.9% and 10.8% of the vote. The official preliminary count put Sheinbaum 28 points ahead of Galvez, with nearly 50% of polls. Sheinbaum said shortly after her victory was confirmed, and I quote, "As I have said on other occasions, I do not arrive alone. We all arrived. With our heroines who gave us our homeland, with our mothers, our daughters, and our granddaughters. I promise that I am not going to let you down." End of quote.
I also want to thank you, because for the first time in 200 years of the Republic, I will become the first female president of Mexico. According to the preliminary results made available by the National Electoral Institute, the difference to become president of the Republic is more than 30 points. It's important to say that even in our lower results, expected by the preliminary results, we've got the majority of the Congress, deputies, and most probably in the Senate too.
Sheinbaum, the successor of outgoing President Andrés Manuel López Obrador, vowed to continue on the direction set by the populist leftist leader. But the cool-tempered scientist offers a sharp contrast in style and a break with Mexico's male-dominated political culture. Sheinbaum's Morena party was also projected to hold its majorities in both chambers of Congress. Sheinbaum will also be the first person from a Jewish background to lead the overwhelmingly Catholic country. She will start her 6-year term October 1. Mexico's constitution does not allow a re-election.
Back in West Africa, Mali has begun constructing 2 major solar power plants to tackle its severe power crisis. The joint ventures with China and Russia came at a time frequent blackouts can last several hours. Here's the report.
Power cuts in Mali have been worsening, wreaking havoc on people's lives and the economy.
Our current power supply is limited to just 1 to 2 hours of electricity per day. This really prevents us from working. All our equipment is often switched off.
The shortage of electricity has caused some companies to go bankrupt for some time. We also found that deaths in the hospital have also skyrocketed.
Mali is now diversifying its power supply, turning to solar. The country has launched the construction of the largest solar power plant in West Africa at a cost of $217 million with the help of Russia. The plant, located in Sanankoroba in southwestern Mali, is projected to produce 200 megawatts of power and will be complete in a year's time.
We have determined that the primary cause of the energy deficit is the reliance on thermal power stations. The cost of producing thermal energy is high, which is why we have decided to switch to renewable energies, particularly solar power.
Close to the capital, Bamako, construction of another solar plant is also underway, this time with the support from China. With 50% of the funding sourced from Mali's national budget, it will be complete in 15 months.
Mali boasts a rich solar energy base, while China has a well-developed solar technology and high-quality production capacity. The collaboration between the two parties in the solar energy sector will serve as a model of mutually beneficial cooperation, opening up significant opportunities for growth. The construction of this solar power plant will be a pivotal step in addressing Mali's energy challenges.
On top of the power outages, only half of Mali's 23 million people have access to electricity. With the current solar projects, experts say Mali's electricity production could increase by 10%, providing the much-needed relief to those who've been in the dark.
The rule of law is the bedrock of national development and the pivot of just and equitable society. It is in the light of this that legal officers in the employ of National Youth Service Corps converged on Abuja to review their activities in the last 1 year. Dele Atumbi of our Judiciary Desk reports.
The National Youth Service Corps is a body corporate established under the extant law in 1973 to involve Nigerian graduates in nation building and the development of the country. As a legal entity, activities of the scheme are bound to be in accordance with the law, as ignorance of the law is not an excuse. As a product of law, legal advice for the scheme to continue to thrive is obligatory. The development led to the establishment of the legal unit for the scheme to be proper and fit in line with the extant law that established it. The coming together of all the legal officers of the scheme is to rub minds on the new trends in law and ways to deploy technology to fast-track legal advice.
It is intended to broaden the skills, instinct, and horizon of the officers and equip them for more effective service delivery.
I urge you to fully participate in the deliberations and come up with fruitful recommendations that will assist management in sustaining its compliance with statutory provisions.
The unit also handles litigations arising from the activities of the scheme. Hence, the advice of a judicial officer will serve as a guide.
As legal officers, you are the guardians of justice, and your dedication to the noble profession is crucial in shaping the future of our nation.
In the next 2 days, participants will be taking a critical look at optimizing the capacity of legal officers for organizational compliance with statutory provisions. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
Up next is the weather outlook for Tuesday. That's the news on NTA International. I'm Sarah Sander, and my sign language interpreter has been Shegun Ajayi. Thanks for watching.